So yeah, going back to the whole left-handed thing back then, like I don't think it was like that. Like I'd just be thinking because it wasn't as common. They used to look at it as like some like unnatural, rare kind of like phenomenon type thing within people. Like saying if you're left-handed, you're like a weirdo, or you got.
They used to cut people's hands off.
They did, mate, because they used to try to force people to with their right to write with their right hand, and if you were left-handed, you were you know. So it was like.
I think that's 300 years ago.
But it's just one of those things of like whatever comes natural. In my opinion, it's like what comes natural because obviously the best way that you're gonna be able to draw or write or whatever the case may be is if it comes natural. If you see what I mean, because you know if you feel comfortable holding with your left hand, then that's normal. If you feel comfortable holding it with your right hand, then fair enough. You know what I mean? You can still write because left-handers. You know what I mean? Like I said, my mum's a lefty, my sister's a lefty, and they've got bloody perfect handwriting. They write perfectly. Like, you know, so, you know.
I think like a few hundred years ago, whatever, or maybe 400 years, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
They used to sort of like say you had sort of connections with the devil.
Yeah, you were like practicing witchcraft and
yeah.
You were a heretic and that kind of shit. Yeah.
So I'm glad I wasn't born back then.
Yeah, back then, I remember even reading a book when I was young. I mean, I don't know if any of the viewers of this show out there might ever remember this. You know what I mean? If they're old enough, you know what I mean. And I'm not that old. I'm only, you know, just turned 30. But I remember when I was younger, there was a book called the Chrysalids, or something like that, and it was about people that had different things wrong with them back in the day, and they used to view it as like you said, some kind of witchcraft shit. Meanwhile, it was nothing to do with witchcraft or anything like that. They literally had things wrong with them, like, you know, whether it be on a physical level or, you know, mental level or just, you know, just some kind of imbalance going on or something, if you see what I mean. But back then, because of obviously the Crusades and all that type of shit going on, and, you know, they used to just label it as, you know, just, you know, you're doing something that's not right, and, you know, you're going to face a stake, you know, or, you know, whatever, you know.
But I mean, like, let's talk about music and art again, yeah.
Even in some places today, mate, music, funny enough, not in that many places, but in some places today, mate, music, some music is considered, is not even played or listened to or consumed because they deem it as, like, not good kind of thing, if you get what I'm trying to say. Like in certain places, certain countries in the world, they're not playing hip hop and like kind of music videos and shit that we can see on YouTube, that we watch some of the videos we were watching earlier on YouTube, let's say for example, they're not able to watch that and view that and shit like that. All that stuff is banned, if you see what I mean. You've got certain countries like North Korea, some other countries too that ban all that shit, you know. They're not, and if you get caught watching that or trying to get other people to watch it or view it or spread it or whatever, share it, whatever, you get in real serious trouble. You know what I mean? You're breaking laws and shit. You know what I mean? Like, so it's funny, isn't it? How, you know, when it comes back that we've all got, going back to what we were saying earlier, we all got our own definition and classification of music, because even those people that might live in very strict societies and cultures and very traditional cultures, whatever, they may outlaw some music, but I'm sure they've got their own cultural, traditional type music that they may listen to, if you see what I mean, that they may deem okay, if you see what I mean, if you get what I'm trying to say, you know. But a lot of the music today, some people don't want their children listening to, and you can understand it, because it's not for children, it is for adults, you know, and even for adults, some of it is a little bit, sometimes even a little bit.
Well, most of it, you know, you look at these.
So a lot of it's like porn.
A lot of this rap is almost like porn.
A lot of it. And don't get me wrong, I love rap. I no one loves.
It's all
rap.
about pussy.
I don't know someone that loves rap more than me. To be honest, I grew up listening to rap my whole life. All my life, predominantly, it's been rap, hip hop. Predominantly, all my life. Studied it. Used to go back in time and listen to all the old school rappers right up to now. You know, but you have to admit, you know, you can't be a hypocrite and deny the fact that today the music industry, especially a lot of the female based hip hop music today, and the male, but I find like the female today it seems to be even more provocative and more explicit than what it used to be. And it's like, it's almost like you're saying, it's like, how far are we gonna take this? If you see what I mean.
Think they can
We're already at the point. That's what I'm saying. So we're already at a point where it's like porn almost, like it's like soft porn, to be very honest. You know what I mean? And and that's just keeping it real. Not not saying that it's, if you want to, anyone's free to consume it. As long as they're of a certain age, of course. But it's like let's just face reality. Let's not be hypocrites and not, like they say, you've got to call it what it is. Let's not be. Let's not be in denial, or pretend, turn a blind eye to it, and female rap never used to, never used to be like that back in the day. You had all these great female rappers back in the day that, you had a few that would be like, kind of like more like sexually like provocative and like shit like that, but it wasn't as graphic and shit as it is today, if you see what I mean.
I'm just wondering what the next generation is going to be like.
That's what I mean, like.
Because it's getting more explicit. Is that the right word?
Yeah, explicit. Yeah.
Yeah. Every year that goes by. I think. I mean, like I said, I've lived nearly 6 decades now.
Yeah.
Nearly 60 now.
Yeah.
And I've seen. I mean, it must have been sort of like Beatles come out when I was #1 when I was born.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of music in my time anyway, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of changes,
Yeah.
And at the beginning when you saw music, they weren't sort of like, had their panties on, sort of like wobbling their butts a lot about like they do today, do you know what I mean? And you see these young girls doing it and everything today, and you think, wow. And I'm thinking, it's like...
It's got to the point where it's become so normalised, it's just like, I don't know,
Yeah, it's sort of...
It leaves nothing to the imagination anymore, at all, if you see what I mean. There's no, and it's just like, to be honest with you, and now that I'm, as being a father too and having a young daughter, I'd never want my young daughter to grow up and be doing that shit. To be very honest with you.
Who would?
I want her to conduct herself like a queen that she is. She's beautiful, intelligent, smart, etc.
I mean, what do you think though? Like, because I've got a daughter too. I wouldn't want to see my daughter on tape, on there wobbling her butt about doing some rapping. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Really, I wouldn't want it.
Not at all. Yeah, never.
And it must have some sort of effect.
Yeah.
In some way, through family values.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a little bit too much sometimes, that's all, like some of these videos I see.
And the thing is that it's very... What's the best way to put it? Let's be honest about it as well, yeah? As men, right? All this shit that you see today, especially like if you're a married man, or you're in a long-term serious relationship and you've got kids and it's very stable and serious, and for women too, don't get me wrong, it's the same thing for women too, I'm not just talking about, just saying men, but it's the same thing for women. Social media and the internet has given people more access to everyone than ever before. People can message someone on the other side of the world that they don't even know, and hope that person opens that message and responds and whatever, be able to correspond with them and go backwards and forwards. Like, there's so much. There's so much temptation. Sorry, that's the word I was trying to find. Temptation.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There's so much temptation out there for both men and women today. Back in the day, before all this internet and social media shit, the only women a woman might worry about her husband seeing or whatever is someone at work, or someone at the shop or the street or something, or whatever. And the same thing for the man. The only men he might think his wife may come into contact with is maybe men at work or other men like that, if you see what I mean. But today, we're living in a day and age where people have access to loads of people, if you see what I mean. Basically,
we can all have a channel each, can't we?
That's what I mean.
That's what the internet is.
Yeah.
We can all have our own music channel.
But I mean, people are so accessible that it's it leads to a lot of, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
leads to a lot of problems, you know.
My circumstance is different to yours. For
Yeah.
instance, you know, because you're married, all right. But I've been married, whatever, and what 15 years ago, I think that was.
Yeah.
We've been divorced now, so I've been single man for 15 years. You know, to be honest, I get a lot more time than you.
Yeah.
Things, you know, do you know what I mean? I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't mind seeing all this butt, do you know what I mean? You know, but I'm thinking about it's really sort of like exploiting it too much for family people.
Yeah. Well, I think it becomes a bit like you said, some of it's good and you enjoy it from time to time, but it gets a bit boring where if every single track and video by that artist is the same thing, if you see what I mean. If every song and every video by that artist just relates to the same thing, you know, like sex continuously, after a while you just think, you know, it's enjoyable for the first couple songs, but then it's just like, surely you've got something else you can talk about.
Well, pussy.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
A lot of the time they're just talking about a lot of the let's be honest, a lot of the female mainstream hip hop today is like that. And it's just like after the first couple of songs might be good, you might enjoy it, you might think, oh, she's a good rapper, she's put the song together well, even though it's a very sexual song, whatever, it's a good song, great, it's enjoyable, you know, you like the video, you know, nice looking ladies, etc. It's, you know, whatever. But by the time you've watched 2 or 3 of those videos, by the time it gets to the 4th or 5th one, you're a bit like, you know, I've seen this, I've just watched this, like, I've just watched this 3 times in a row, if you see what I mean, and now I'm going to watch it for a 4th and 5th time, if you see what I mean, you know, it's just like, no. Like, it was nice, I enjoyed it for the first couple, but now it's, you know, time to get to something a bit more, you know, a bit more enjoyable.
But some of these videos that come out,
yeah,
they put a lot of work in them.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
It's all art.
Yeah.
It's all art, you know, and I find it quite amazing, do you know what I mean? And what they can do today.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
With the effects and everything, you know, and you know, somebody, for instance, you know, like for you know, say someone writes a song, now they've got to perform it in a kind of way and bring it out visually somehow, you know, and you know, sometimes they do a good job of it, don't they, to match the video in a kind of way, and
yeah.
I don't know, do you know what I mean? And I just find it absolutely. Well, I think we're quite lucky, really, you know, and I think we were talking about appreciation last week, and I think people should appreciate it a bit more, you know, I do anyway. I love it, you know, I love having the internet, and for instance, say now, right now, I wanted to hear Michael Jackson right now, I could put his album on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've got the internet, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing too, that's great for artists today too. As like I was going back to what I was saying earlier. As long as you can save some money up to get some decent studio equipment, it might cost you a couple of $1,000 to get your speakers, a decent microphone, some headphones, a good computer with the software, and a few other bits and pieces that you may need, a sound card, a few other things, you know, an external hard drive to back your stuff up on, and etc. So it might cost you a couple of $1,000, but then once you've got that, and you've got a little space where you can record, you know what I mean, that you can soundproof to a degree and you can record, because as long as in all honesty, in this day and age, as long as you've got a quiet room, you can record in there. As long as you've got decent equipment, you can record in there. You don't even need a soundproof room today. Because you see a lot of artists today even recording right next to their engineer today. Not even going into the recording booth. Literally, the mic set up right next to the engineer's sat here on the desk working, engineering the song while he's, you know, obviously while he's recording. And they're right, literally, you know, I've seen it a lot happen today. It just goes to show, as long as you got, you know, as long as you got the right equipment, you can just do it there and there. You know what I mean? Like it's quiet anheanyway, and if there's any background noise, the producer, or the engineer already knows how to get rid of that. If you see what I mean, he already knows how to, you know, get rid of all those frequencies straight away. He'll eliminate those straight away, so you don't have to worry. If you see what I mean. So, you know, as long as you've got a decent place where you can record, you've got your equipment, you've got the internet, and you've got a little bit of money that you can pay to upload your music onto the digital platforms, and YouTube is free. You get a free YouTube account, you know what I mean? Free Facebook account, free Instagram account, free Twitter account. All these accounts are free. And then other stuff that you can pay for to help, you know what I mean, to promote your stuff, you know? You know? So.
I mean, when I was married,
Yeah.
we eventually we had 5 different houses altogether, right? But our last house had a garden, you know, and it's a dream come true for me. You know?
Yeah.
I wanted to put bird boxes in it and everything, you know. But there's an old shed there, you know, and I spent like a year doing it up. You know, taking the roof off and putting a new one on it.
Yeah.
It even had like windows on the roof, you know what I mean? You know, so I could skylight, so I can see out. You know, and I built myself a little studio. You know, I put some speakers in there, and I bought myself some software, you know. I think it's Fruity Loops at the time, yeah. And I started learning about Fruity Loops, you know, and I was, you know, and I spent so much, in a kind of way, I spent quite a bit of time in there sometimes, you know what I mean? And sometimes I'd sort of go to work as well, do you know what I mean? And like I say, you can't, you know, because I was passionate, so passionate about my music, I was forgetting about my wife. This is what happened to me in a kind of way, you know, that's why we separated and went our own ways. Because I was sort of like more into music, you know, and she didn't feel like I loved her, which I did, right, but I was just, you know, so passionate, you know, once I got my garden, you know, I had my dream, you know, and built my studio. Yeah. And, you know, I was there for 3 years, you know, I lost it, you know what I mean? I lost everything. It's devastating for me, not the studio, you know, not just this, the studio was devastating, right, but, you know, being away from my children and my house, you know, and everything, you know, is very, very difficult for me. You know, so, you know, like I said, I sort of like went to Southampton, I was homeless for a little while, you know what I mean, and then I bumped into a billionaire family, and he gave me his laptop, you know, when I was living there. Yeah. You know, when I lived in this boat in Canary Wharf. Yeah. You know, he gave me his keys, you know, and I was living there rent-free for about a year and a quarter. Yeah. And he gave me his laptop, and I got Fruity Loops, you know, and I started doing music again. You know, I had my studio on my lap. Yeah. Yeah. You know, within 4 months. Yeah. You know, and then he sold that boat, you know, and then I got this place. Yeah. And then slowly in time I built my own studio again, you know, and it's 10 times better than the one I lost. Yeah, yeah. Do you know what I mean? You know, and it's taken me time to get everything.
Afford it all.
Well, you got to learn about the computer first of all. You know, Windows, which is very boring, if you ask me. But once you kind of, I think we all understand Windows today because it's so simple. But one at the beginning, you know, when it's 3.1, when I first started using Windows, do you know what I mean? But like, you know, it's taken me years really, you know, just 1 year to learn Windows, then, you know, and then the next bit of software, and I've kind of like got it all together today, you know, and I've got really beautiful software today. You know, I've got like SoundForge and whatever, you know, and I kind of, you know, like if I want to do something, I just do it. You know, if I wanted to record you, we could record you, couldn't we? Yeah. You know, and then
Ableton.
Yeah, that's it. You know, and I've got some really cool equipment here too.
Ableton, I think, is the best one for the recording. Yeah, for the software that you've got.
I've got a rolling system here, systems, which is I'm still learning about. You know what I mean, like the mixer.
Oh, you got your mixer plus the beat machine plus the drum machine. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm starting learning about these things. And 707 really I need to learn a lot more, you know, and it's going to take me a bit more time to, you know, maybe a couple more years to get the place I finally wanted, you know what I mean? Like I said, sort of getting married really sort of like stopped me doing it in a kind of way, you know, sort of like just push me back. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to think of, you know, push me back from what I love doing. Yeah. You know, and I don't know why I'm passionate about music. I think a lot of us are.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we all got our own passions, and you know, and I think that's it really. You know, like if you're passionate about doing something, whatever it is, do it. You know. Yeah. And as I say, the more you do it, the better you're going to become. That's it. And you know, I'm never going to give up. You know, it's like my brother. He bought this drum machine, because he's into music too, and he was sort of like getting frustrated with it, you know, because he couldn't understand it, you know. Yeah. And he sold it to me. Yeah. Yeah. And I said, "What did you sell it for?" And he said, "Well, you know, I just couldn't, you know, said, you know, like just have it in your flat and learn it. And, you know, it's not going to take you a month. You know, it's going to take you a few years to understand it. Do you know what I mean? Don't give up. Don't give up. You know, I'm glad that I, you know, got it off with him, whatever.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. And you know, I'm hoping to do things in my future. Do you know what I mean? Something good. That's it. You know, I mean, I think I feel like I've done some good things in my past with music. You know, but I want to get some singing on it. You know, things like that. Do you know what I mean? And get a bit more serious with it. You know, like I said, my divorce really knocked me back. You know, losing my family, it's devastating for me. And I couldn't really do music much. You know, even though, like I said, Rick gave me his boat in Canary Wharf to live on, and he gave me a laptop too. And I was doing music again, but I still really couldn't have the mind of frame. You've got to have the right frame of mind to do it, to do music, you know. And if you're a bit upset because, you know, you just lost a loved one for some reason, I don't think you'll be able to do music for quite a few years, if you see what I mean. So I had to sort of like, I mean, I was doing music in Canary Wharf, but it was difficult, let's put it that way, you know. But slowly in time, you know, 15 years since my divorce, you know, I've got it back. You know, and a lot more. You know, I've got my dream studio, you know. I mean, this studio that I built in the garden, it's quite small, you know, but it was, you know, alright. But you'd have to go outside, you know, and it's in, you know, sometimes in the winter it'd get cold and things, you know, but this studio is in my home. You know, it's I wake up and it's here, you know, and I haven't got no wife anymore telling me off. You know, I can just wake up tomorrow and start a new song if I want to, you know what I mean? Without taking my wife out and trying to please her, you know, by, you know, if you see what I mean. I mean, as I say, relationships do get in the way of your other passions, I think, if you see what I mean. Anyway, that's enough of me talking today. I've done enough talking today.
But yeah, mate, art is, you know, everything can be art, you know, it's, you know, anything you want can be art, you know, everything, I think there's artistic value found in most things, I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's just how
cooking is art.
It's just, exactly, it's just how you perceive things, and I like you just said cooking, like, I'm the type of person too that when I cook, I kind of see it like that, if you see what I mean. I put a lot of love into it, you know what I mean, and that's why I think most of my food is always good generally, you know what I mean, because, you know, people always enjoy it because it's, you know, you put the time and the effort and the love into it, like, you know, like you would your, you know, your music. Or
as you know, sort of some of these restaurants you go, they really
make it fancy and
real art.
Michelin star restaurants.
Take an hour to put it together, you know. Crazy.
And you get a little tiny little portion in the middle of a big bloody plate, and you get a little portion just in the middle, you know, as a main course. And you think, bloody hell, I paid £155 for this, and I'm bloody starving. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to please your wife.
Yeah.
You know.
Funny.
But like when you go to these galleries, art galleries, you've got these really expensive paintings from famous artists, basically. You know, and I think it's a little bit gone crazy, really, where some are, you know, like some of this modern art, even, you know, it's absolutely ridiculous, you know, but it's worth a lot of money, and I think it's wrong. In a funny way, you know. Somehow I don't think, you know, I think art is. I don't know what I was going to say. I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's gone right out my head.
Yeah, it's okay. It might come back.
It might not. Might do. It might do. It might not.
Yeah, but art. Yeah.
I hope it does come back. It's good when you forget about things, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know. I love forgetting about things. It's fun.
But yeah, you know, it's, to me, there's no greater feeling personally than when you've made an amazing track in the studio and you've put it all together and you've mixed it and you've mastered it a few times, and it sounds great. And that the final result, the end product that you might eventually put out to the world, or whatever the case may be, it's just an amazing feeling. You know, it's like a euphoria. If you see what I mean, it's like a high in itself, like a natural high. Especially when you play it back for the first time, like when you first finish recording it and it's getting mixed down, and you first master it and you play it back for that first time and you hear it and it just sounds like, you know. Shout out to all the engineers out there as well, because without the music engineers, you know, the tracks would never sound as amazing as they would today without all the great engineers out there. You know, all the great music engineers out there, the ones that bring all the tracks to life. You know, make them all sound amazing. Put the right amount of echo on there, the right amount of auto-tune, or whatever the case may be, they choose to put on there. You know,
I mean, that's
it's the engineers that bring everything to bring it together, you know, and the producers, the real producers, the ones that not only make the beat and record the song and etc., but the ones that put it all together, piece it together as a puzzle.
Well, that's love art in itself, isn't it?
But I was going to say, the last few tracks that even me myself have done, even though other producers have made the beats for me, and I've written the tracks and recorded them myself, I didn't even use all the beats. For all the beats that they've sent me recently, I haven't ended up even using all the beat. I've literally structured the beats that they've sent me. I've got all the stems and taken them to the producer basically. Last time I went to the studio and said, listen, I want this part of the track in there, that part of the track in there. Remove that bit because that doesn't sound. You know, it's a bit too long and it doesn't really work. And then put this other bit together, and then put it together, and then we'll record over that. So I even see that even myself now today, almost becoming like a producer in a sense, if you see what I mean, because the last 5 or 6 tracks that I have recorded in the studio,
picked up a few more things.
I've done that myself, if you see what I mean.
Well, I think you probably picked a few things up here, you know, here a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you put your mind into it and
during the pandemic, really, we spent a lot of time with it. But I'm literally, honestly, the last 4 or 5 tracks, even the tracks I got sent from my friend in Jamaica who does music production, who's a good producer, you know what I mean, sent me a few tracks. The tracks, even with him, I even said to him, I said, listen mate, don't get offended, but I didn't use all your track. But the track sounds amazing, if you see what I mean. I constructed it in a way that I think it sounds really good, so I think you'll still be happy, you know. But, you know, it's, having an ear for, I think, is very good too. If you're going to be a musician or an artist, a music artist, you have to have a good ear for music, I think, as well. That's important, you know. I think I've got a good ear for instrumentals and stuff like that too as well, you know. I think even you told me a few weeks back I was playing you some new instrumentals that I'd got that I was going to record over that I hadn't, you know, and you said to me, oh mate, I think, you know, you've got a good ear for beats.
What is a good ear anyway? I thought we were all here the same.
No, but I mean in terms of like, even for me, I think that I'm very good at, like, especially today, I'm very good at picking beats, if you see what I mean. Like my first project, me and the producer made everything from scratch. All the beats, I didn't buy any beats or pre-do anything. We made all the beats from scratch, and I wrote it, and then we recorded it, whatever. But this time around, because I've selected all the beats, if you see what I mean, all the beats that I've selected, and all the beats that I've played for people, you know, that I've paid for and played for people, like yourself or whatever, have all said to me, you know, they were, you know, good, you know. I think some people have got a good ear for music, and you know.
I mean, because I got some software about six months ago, I think it was, about that. I've uploaded about 45 tracks now, you know, because I worked on a lot of my old stuff, and I look at it, you know, some of it's not very good, whatever, but some of it I'm quite proud of.
Yeah.
You know. Some of it I'm really, really proud of, you know, and that's the feeling it gives you, you know. Like appreciation again, you know, it makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
That you've done something good.
Yeah.
You know, you've actually spent, say, a week or so on something, and it's really good.
Yeah.
And you know, it's there forever.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you upload it, you know.
Yeah.
And everyone can appreciate it too, which they do. You know,
Yeah.
because you've spent a lot of time putting this track together.
Yeah.